You guys have been asking for us to do a breakdown on Cardano. So we said, hey, let's go do some deep dive and come back with a report for you guys. So we're going to break all that down for you. I think you're going to love it today. My name is Paul Barrett. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust Capital. If you guys are looking at long-term holding, one of the ways you can do it is with a crypto IRA. Very easy and simple to set up. All you have to do is click that link down below, and you can get into Bitcoin, Ethereum, do some gold, silver, whatever you like in terms of building out your crypto IRA over on iTrust Capital. You can also get a $100 funding reward just by using our link. So check it out, see what you guys think. Let me know. I mean, if you guys are using it, let us know. I always love to get feedback on how people are using some of our sponsors and partners. All right, so I want to go and lead off with two clips of Mr. Hoskinson breaking down some of the advancements and current situations of Cardano, where they are today. Let's go ahead and go over to the first clip. Listen in.
So, it's been a year. Lots happened, huh? So what do? Well, worked on 1694. Anybody participate in SIP 1694? And then we got Intersect, the members-based organization. Enormous amount of stuff shipped. Hydra shipped. Mithril shipped. Node 8.x shipped. All kinds of updates shipped.
All right, so you can kind of get, this was at an event where he was kind of giving an update to the devs and within the audience as well, just on some of their achievements so far. Let's go over to the next clip, give more context here.
People are building. We're number one for development activity right now amongst all the cryptocurrencies. TVL grew by over 200% in a downturn. How about that? Transaction volume's up. We're at 8 million native assets.
All right, so when you look at this on the front, these kinds of statements appear to be very, very bullish, and you would think, hey, this is great for Cardano. But at the same time, you have to kind of do your homework, always. Always take a look at it. Here is, of course, DeFi Llama. What we're looking at right now is core devs. And obviously, all the way back here in 2020, that was when Cardano was pretty much at its heyday at about 227 devs. Currently, one of the lowest it's been at so far. Further into their total value locked, you can look at where Cardano was back here in April and March of 2022, and then where it is right now as it continues down. So I think what Charles is talking about is from this lowest part right here, that's the difference in terms of total value locked. All right, so further into this, just to break down the list of where this TVL is coming from. Most of this is coming from the MinSwap DEX right there, so you can kind of see a little bit of a breakdown there. Again, not necessarily a project that I'm involved in, or maybe you're involved in, but that's where essentially the numbers are coming from. As you go a little deeper, here of course is the monthly review on MinSwap, and this is just showing total value locked. And obviously you can kind of see just a little bit of the API farms. This is where it gets interesting because there's a lot of these really high, I consider high risk exposure here because some of these are just way too out of line, and this is a concern. If I was looking at a project like this would be one of those things and saying, okay, the TVL is being dominated by this, but this is being dominated by a lot of people who are getting these super high risk yield areas. So again, is that healthy on projects? I would say no, but maybe you guys have a different opinion of that. I always love to get your opinions. All right, so let's take a look at total users. Again, looking all the way back here to this high point right here around June coming in. And of course, this is 2023. All of this is starting to decline just a bit. So now under 30,000 users, not a good sign for this. Further into DeFi Llama, you can kind of see a little bit here where Cardano sits at number 24. And this is behind other interesting projects, Fusion, ZK, Sync Lite, Tron, not ones that I would necessarily say that I would be behind, especially for a top 10 token. But this is an interesting statement right here. Base is already 3 times larger than Cardano, but the difference in Cardano has been here since obviously 2017, while Base is only a month old, and you kind of see just the difference there on TVL on Base versus obviously Base being an Ethereum based scenario, and Cardano over here sitting at 168 million at a downturn market. So imagine what Base is probably going to do when, one, they're older, and two, the market is actually in its way up. So there's a lot playing into this. I want to go to another clip here. And again, I'm going to play clips of Charles himself making statements around where Cardano is, and then we're going to go and do our own research under each one. So let's take a look at this next clip.
So you guys notice right behind me is a picture from the Ape Society, and that's hand-painted picture. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and put it up on the wall. But in general, I have a policy when we look at Schneck or any of these other NFT projects on Cardano that I don't personally hold them or do business from a sponsorship and endorsement viewpoint. What I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, if they want to give it to me, I'll if I have a place to display it. And obviously we enjoy and treasure all of the NFT projects that are on Cardano. Like I kind of missed the Cardano villages or Ada villages or whatever it was called, those nifty little 3D animations that you could put and share on Twitter. And I guess they got rugged. And see, it shows you how much I know.
All right, so going over to the JPEG store on Cardano, this is essentially their marketplace. Ape Society's right there, pretty much at the top of the hill. And he mentions the Cardano Village. This was the project that this is kind of outlining here, all the way into, their roadmap, which was Series 1 going into Charles's Village minting. And then, of course, he mentioned, they got rugged. So that's just something, again, good learnings here for anybody that's out there, no matter what project you're getting into. These are the kind of things that can happen. So whether you are and were involved in us with the Cardano community, I'd love to know, did you guys get into any of these NFTs? And are you continuing to go that direction with NFTs? If you look at the Explorer, that gets kind of the ecosystem of Cardano, I always try, and this is highlighting the NFT projects, I always try to find something within these, whether it's the marketplaces, the tools, that are projects or areas that I recognize or that we cover or gets enough traction in news to be able to get more people around the world interested in this. And just when I look at this, it's just not necessarily the top of the heap. So sure, there's a lot of projects out there and there's a lot of developers that are, going in this direction. Many of these are passion projects in many cases. So I just don't know if this is, again, one of the greatest places for NFTs right now. I want to go to another clip real quick. And this is just Charles kind of giving his Uptime speech at another event. Listen in.
2,100 days plus, the Cardano network has been running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by you, the stake pool operators. Never down, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Microsoft has gone down since then. And they own the fucking hardware. We don't. Just a bunch of people come together, never met each other.
Just so everybody's aware that when you look at overall, uptime, you have to consider kind of the node ecosystem that drives underneath each one of those. I'll talk about that in a second. You look further into, this is kind of the daily market cap, fully diluted right now with Cardano, Avalanche, Polygon, and Solana. This past 180 days. Now, Cardano had been holding that position, that pole position there, but it has been declining. And then, of course, Solana right now is taking over in terms of the daily market cap. And now, what Charles was mentioning there is uptime. Uptime is a very significant thing, especially when you think about blockchain. But one of the things, if you're, just as an example, this is, of course, Dan over at Digital Asset News. He's got a stake pool that you can get in. But I just want you to be aware that almost everybody is running on Microsoft. Okay, at some point or another, they're going to be down because these types of technologies and server farms are going to have problems. So you can't necessarily have 100% uptime. So that in itself, I think, is a little bit of an overstatement. All right, so taking a look at Cardano TPS, transactions per second, has not been massive, even though there was a little bit of transactions going on here, but it has really declined quite a bit here recently. And now what appears to be even at max around 6 transactions per second. And when you look at real TPS, down as low in the 2s. So This is another thing that you look at when a chain is not getting that kind of action. It is a scenario of it doesn't have, one, the popularity of, there's not enough things happening on it with its, whether it's NFTs, moving things around, etc., that obviously are critical on how a blockchain stays together. Let me go to another clip real quick, and this next clip is going into a little bit about how they master innovation. Listen in.
You name it, it's been designed and built, or we know the guy who figured it out or gal who figured it out and we can steal it. Because that's how open source works. Algorand had this great paper called Compact Certificates. The guy who wrote it, we called him up and we said, boy, we love that paper. Why don't you come take a sabbatical, come out to Scotland for 6 months and work on this? He said, that sounds fun. I love whiskey. We're technically competitors with Algorand, although I like Silvio. He's a good friend. So that's why I don't worry about the features and the technology. If there's something good, we'll take it. And by the way, the biggest companies do this. Very soon, a new iPhone's going to come out. You're going to have Tim Cook, and he's going to say, Apple is innovating. We have added USB-C. And the cable is $80. And you know what? They're going to make $500 billion off of it. So fuck, that shit works.
I think that innovation, yes, open source is one of those things that everybody copies and reprints. But real innovation comes with ideas. And ideas are fostered by people who are looking to the future and trying to fix things that are broken or don't exist. So that's one of the things I always hope and wonder when we've covered tech here, that some of these founders and innovators are trying to do that. At least I hope that they are. So that was a little disappointing to hear going into it. Just to show you a little bit here on the ecosystem coins by MarketCap with Cardano. There, of course, is Cardano. And we'll go to the major one here, really, which is World Mobile Token. That's the real core project that is on Cardano. Further into this, let's go into their current launch. This is where World Mobile Token is located right now with their first test. And this is out in Zanzibar. But again, this is a minuscule launch in comparison to what's happening in other ecosystems. Here, of course, is World Mobile Token talking a little bit about what they have going on. They are going into an eSIM-based service now, offering high-speed LTE data using 4G. That's kind of the older technology. And then that 5G is planned for release in 2024. So it's still going to take some time for them to get up to speed on that. So that in itself is a challenge. If you look at Helium, or actually if you look at World Mobile Token, where you can go in and actually maybe sign up for this at some point, it still is pending. So getting in and registering on this, actually launching a platform or getting in the platform is still yet to be determined. So that in itself, again, just not enough advancements. I know it's been around for a little bit, but in many of these projects that have been developing, like a Helium and their partnership sequencing that they did with Solana, it took a long time for that to occur. Remember, Helium was an IoT platform first before it really got into mobile and started maximizing their efforts. Here, of course, is Helium Mobile. And of course, this test is actually going on right now in Miami. So you can actually get onto this platform today in a 5G environment for $5 a month. So that is a huge breakthrough. Again, riding on Solana. So how do those compare and how they go forward? Here is Helium's overall hotspot map. So you can kind of see just the massive size of this network. But the more important one is the 5G network, which is this one right here. And to me, this right now is where the emergence of Helium's network future is going to be. So even they are, and I think a lot of people would look at that compared to, say, what W&T is doing, much grander. But the point is, but even that, when you look at it, is not completely worked out yet. There's so much more that can be done here with these projects. So it kind of looks at all of these things as a whole. Further into this, we say, all right, well, let's take a look, continue to look at the overall utility projects, because utility is a big factor on what Cardano is trying to do. And if you look at their utility landscape right here, here's the DEXs. And, are you guys using any of these? There's MinSwap right there, which is their biggest. Are you guys using any of these right now? Infrastructure, DeFi, are you using any of these DeFi platforms? Love to know. Give me some feedback. Drop some comments down below. I mean, this is the things that we look at. We cover this, what I feel like are hundreds of hours a week in terms of research. And a lot of this stuff doesn't ever show up. So it just makes me think, all right, well, just like in the tech world, we had so many projects being built in the era of mobile, social, and the evolution of the internet that never saw the light of day, and they're nowhere to be found right now. So that is the thing I look at kind of going forward. Here's another clip I want to go into, and this is really about the news, and this is the stablecoin aspect that is happening within Wyoming. Listen in.
Can you discuss a real world use case? Has there been a use case that you can kind of open up about and explain, if somebody wanted to propose something and then there was a voting mechanism on it, are you guys able to go into detail there about anything like that?
I'll give an example. So currently we're on the subcommittee and working directly with the committee at the state of Wyoming for Wyoming Stablecoin. So this is a really interesting one because the legislature passes a law and says the government shall endeavor to issue a stablecoin. And now we'll, as a company, bid to build that, and we'll see through the RFP process if that makes sense for both sides.
All right, so Wyoming, that is true. Wyoming adopts a stablecoin legislation. They're laying down the format of how this is going to all play out. And in fact, it's going to happen in the next day or two of where we're going to see some movement. And they actually have to enact this before the end of the year. It's an actual law. So that is a pretty significant thing. But when you go further into it, this is actually the stablecoin or stable token commission meeting that was in Laramie on September 7th. And I was looking at further into this. This just shows the named as commissioners. These are the people that are pretty much the people behind this, which is Flavian Navez, David Pope, Jeff Wallace, and Joel Revel. All right, so when we look at things like this, I always look at the history and the background of these people, because these people are making decisions. And it's like what we look at in a lawmaker, it's like what we look at in the SEC. Who are the people making decisions and what is their background in blockchain? This is interesting. So we go over here to LinkedIn and you can get into Flavia Neves here. And this is really the only one of all the people that are involved in this that we found that actually is involved with blockchain. If you look further into her background, we'll go into her background here. I'll just kind of go into experiences here. You can kind of see some of the things. She's very, very astute in terms of an attorney. But further into this right here is general counsel currently and corporate secretary at Circle, full-time. So, I mean, this is clearly going to be an ERC-20 stablecoin. Is my anticipation is that Circle is going to be involved in this in a big way. So again, this is just another scenario that I don't think Cardano is going to be involved in that in the state of Wyoming. So these are the things. Now, when we look at deep dives, we look at trying to understand, and I look at it this way, because we get people asking about this all the time, what about this, what about that? I just say, hey, the research is out there. It's out there. You can go in and listen to a lot of video. A lot of times, just these people will tell you what's happening, and all you have to do is listen. And I think that's what hopefully we've been able to do, is give you guys a little bit of an insight here on Cardano. It's not one that we invest in. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that love this token. I know they are. And kudos, that's great, because it's, these are speculated assets just like anything else in the crypto space, and you have to look at, maybe something about what's happening with Cardano that's outside of these narratives that we would love to hear. So just drop some comments down below. We always love to see that. All right, if you guys are not following us over on the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in there. It's another place where we drop some additional content. You can find all sorts of additional research we do on the shows here. But we also put content in there that doesn't make it on the show itself. So join, click the link down below. If you guys want to catch me, it's out there on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.